So let's back up to the beginning of the recording process. So,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, based on how the instrumentation of your album versus your live setup, is that the songs began as we hear them live, and then layers were then added during the recording process to spice it up. But um, so did you come up with those things as you were recording, or those pre-planned?
Some of them were pre-planned. Pre-planned. Some of them were pre-planned, but seeing as we had the option to like overdub, and we haven't even had a chance to like try all of them now that we've recorded them all, because John's got a couple other guitar parts that we added on afterwards. Like in Black Widow, it was like, why don't we just like put like a pretender riff in the bridge, like
Yeah.
so there's some parts where like, we can emulate them live, but like the most of the overdubbing was just like for additional rhythm guitar. Like Liverwurst, it's just like the same guitar, like panned or maybe like a different take. But otherwise, like, if there's another guitar part, John can cover everything. Because now he's got the multi-hybrid instrument.
I played some guitars on it too. All the stuff I played on guitar was just like made up on the spot. But a lot of it's like arpeggios or like I think the only thing that I was really happy with for coming up on the spot was from Black Widow, the like ascending guitar line. Maybe you remember from mixing it. But it's just like an A minor chord changing inversions and sliding kind of up the neck,
Well, I think you had like, because at one point you were just playing bass. Like before we had the hybrid, you would just play the root note.
I didn't know I was gonna be playing guitar. This is just I get over one day. You're like, "Hey, you're recording some guitars today, John."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, but I think for that part we premeditated because we were going over like the parts recording for guitar and like, what if I did this? And you show that ascending line in the chorus of Black Widow. I'm like, fuck yeah, just add that. So like you kind of like knew about it, but it was like we would go over like when we were like preparing for it.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we did it ourselves and we weren't renting like studio time or anything like that allowed us to add those little things and try new things and all
and
that.
have the freedom we want.
Because it was like, what if we did this? And a lot of those little additions that we did, it was just like, hey, would it be cool if I did this or change the guitar a little bit, whatever?
Yeah, like happy accidents and just open to like relative experimentation.
If we were paying for studio time, like we have to get in there and get it all done. And,
you have to know
we don't have time to do that.
Do your shit and get out. Whereas like, I think one of the coolest parts about that is when we were editing the guitar solo for Curves, and I'm like, I'll just do a bunch of takes and see what I like that day. And the last two takes where I did with the whammy pedal, I'm like, okay, Phil, put this one in. And we put it in, and I was like, but I kind of like the first half of that other take. He's like, why don't we just put both in?
Yeah.
And it's just like guitar solo soup, and we're like, wow, that kind of works. So we're like, we had the luxury of being able to like experiment with stuff like that and just doing it for the sake of doing it.
It's funny when you mention our live like 3-piece sound versus the recorded one, because there's a couple songs where things are different significantly than the live versions, like for Black Widow with all the Cass's extra vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I didn't like them because I wasn't used to them.
Right.
I was like, our song sounds wrong because I was so used to playing it the way we rehearsed it for months and months and months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I do like it. I got used to it. I was like, okay, I like this now. But at first I was like, what's wrong here? It's different. This doesn't sound like us.
This isn't what I thought it was going to be.
I don't like change.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much, right? So I'm scared. But yeah, and then we have to compromise playing live, obviously, because we don't have 4 guitar players and
a female vocalist and stuff.
Even the bass parts I play live have to be a little different, because when I recorded the bass for the album, I was playing a traditional 4-string bass. This is while I was building the bass guitar, and I only finished completion of the bass guitar after the bass had already been recorded.
Right.
So
that's why there's like half and half. There's like half like improvised guitar parts and then your standard bass lines. And now you're trying to kind of marriage the two together live.
Yeah, anything with like a low E, F, or F sharp that you would find on a typical bass, I don't play live because my instrument doesn't have those. Its lowest note is a G.
All right.
So like I just have to play that a little differently when I do it live and like jump up an octave here and there.
Okay.
It doesn't come up that much though because Eric writes in G a lot, so it's mostly fine.
I'm a fucking OG.